Well, $30 later of my mom's money that she was gracefully willing to buy me. We got me another tank stand. This is a 10-gallon tank stand. Gotta put it together. I also got a piece of wood to actually stick the tank on. The tank itself is gonna go right here. What I'm planning on doing is I'm planning on putting worthless and useless into the 10-gallon in here, and either let this tank sit for a while or just tear it down completely. Because I know what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take both these two filters and one of the filters from one of my other tanks and put it into that 10-gallon tank and let it just sit for a day. And then maybe tomorrow or the next day, I don't know, I might let the tank sit for a few days and then put worthless and useless in there. I know I could actually just go and put the fish in right away, but I gotta let the tank water get to temp and whatnot. It's gonna take a little while for that to happen. So yeah, I'm gonna remove these two guys as filters. I'm gonna take one of my other filters, let this tank just sit for a while with the water until it gets temp, and probably let it sit for another day or so, and then put worthless and useless in there, and then figure out what I want to do with this tank after that. I might just put my flower horn back in here and then put one of my bedders into this tank here. But I don't know if I want to do that or not yet, because I kind of want to convert this tank back into like some type of community tank with a lot of fish for my parents to look at. Alright, so I got the stand now put together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cover the back and the sides and the front. I got some foam board. I think I got enough to at least cover the back and the sides, or at least one side. Depends on how everything comes together. I'll come back when that is done. Alright, here's the tank and the stand. It's just simple foam board held on by duct tape. I have enough left over right here for an air pump and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. Just gotta fill the thing up. Alright, and with that I got the tank set up. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually let this tank sit for a while, because this is actually this thing's designed for, I believe, 12 to 15 gallons. So this thing can easily get this tank jump started. But it's almost 7 p.m. and I've been up since 3, I believe, a.m. So I'm pretty freaking sleepy. So I just rigged everything up to where it's safe enough to let it just run. But also this is also the way I have it set up right now is going to be temporary, because I will eventually be putting 2 sponge filters inside here for filtration. But for right now, I want to have this thing running because this thing already has beneficial bacteria up to yin yang. This thing came out of my 30-gallon. I already have another filter in the 30-gallon, so it can survive without this for a while. So once this is done running for at least probably 24 hours or so, and I get the sponge filters figured out, which ones I want to do, I might just end up what I'll probably end up doing is I'll just end up using these 2 filters inside this tank here. And why must you make noise while I'm trying to do a video? And then I'm going to move worthless and useless into this tank, because this tank here was only temporary for these 2, because this right here is where I want to put them. I just now want to figure out what I want to do with this tank. My mom seems to be okay with converting this tank into a small community tank. And of course, for right now, my flower horn is going to stay in its 5.5, considering its size and whatnot. It's still going to be a while before I'll need to actually really consider putting her into a bigger tank. Oh yeah, also, this is not fish related, but this is also something pretty cool. And I am going to include this. I got this from Goodwill for $4.25. It's a 1990 portable 5-inch black and white tube TV. Now, since this thing runs off analog, I can't get anything. But in theory, I should be able to get a analog to digital converter, and I'll be able to use it on this thing. And also, in theory, I don't know if this is possible or not, though. I could even use this as a secondary monitor on my PC, or I could somehow even, in theory, I don't know if this is possible, somehow actually somehow splice into my TV, to my TV's HDMI signal, and somehow convert it into standard depth, and then have some type of wire that goes all the way over here because I want to have a TV here and actually have it play whatever's playing on there. I don't know if that's possible, but if I turn it on, as you can tell, the tube actually fires up and runs properly. This little thing right here is actually right inside the little protective piece of plastic that's actually protecting the tube itself. I gotta figure out how to properly remove this little front plate here so I can actually remove it, because there it is right there. And of course, Goodwill. Or yeah, why not? This thing requires 9 D batteries, or it can run off a wall power. What I'm gonna do is I made a whole separate video about this, and I'm gonna be posting it to Linus Tech Tips and see what they say, because someone on there will most likely know more about this thing than I do. So it's the next day. I actually decided to put worthless and useless in here. They're doing just fine. I have the 2 sponge filters that were in their tank. I did clean them up slightly, but I do plan on making this tank look a lot more nicer. Just right now I'm still kind of getting everything figured out. I also made a shelf out of foam board, but it's not completely done yet because I gotta hot glue a piece in the back right here so it can reinforce it and also stop stuff from falling and whatnot. But simple sheet of foam board. But for right now, it's just gonna be right here until I can get some hot glue. I also did a water change in the flower horn tank, and I gave this Betta this tank. What I'm planning on doing with these tanks in the kitchen is I'm planning on covering up all 3 sides, well, both the sides and the back. That way so I can eliminate a lot of the algae growth, because these tanks are literally right next to windows. So the algae growth in these tanks can get pretty out of control pretty quickly. So I'm also going to cover up the tanks and reduce the algae growth too also. And of course it's on the 2-day mark. I haven't fed these guys in around 2 days. And as you can tell, my Blackmore, or wherever he is doing just fine. He is hovering towards the top a little bit still, but he is capable of swimming around like normal. And they keep pulling up the plants. Fisher is definitely losing a little bit of his black, which kind of stinks. It might be time for a water change too also. But everyone's doing just fine in this tank, so I'm not completely worried. So I just got done doing a water change on this tank. It's been about, I want to say, 4 months since I did a water change. Let me grab a picture of my beautiful dragon scale. And I also added in some fake plants for everyone. This fake plant's new. This one's new, and all these are new. And this guy here, if he flares again, his flare's gotten really, really beautiful. He's become a very beautiful Betta. Even though I shifted my my fish interest from Bettas to all sorts of other fish, Bettas are still my main favorite fish. They're such beautiful creatures, especially this one here. If you look back on my videos, he was a near pure. He was white with just a little bit of blue and a lot of cellophane in the back. He has changed so much since I initially got him. He's really amazing. Also, he does not have Popeye. It's just the colorization of both eyes. Both eyes have different colorizations. His eye right here is more extinguished than his other eye to make it look like he has Popeye, but he really doesn't. Still on my feather fish are still my favorite fish in the hobby. He's still chicken, which is no surprise. Everyone in here is more or less doing just fine. They actually got a wire changed about 2 days ago. And my discus is also doing fine. Its fins are slowly regrowing, which is great. I haven't had any problems with this discus yet. And they're supposed to be hard to take care of. I haven't had any problems with it. I just take care of it like I do with like all my other fish. And so far, I haven't had any problems. Fat ass laying around. He had that look of go away and let me rest, 'cause I'm a fat ass. Also, this guy has not jumped since I've added him to this tank, and that's due to this little itty bitty grate I have. Oh, now you want something? Yeah, you think I'm gonna give you food? I give you 1 pellet a day and you're still fat. I unfortunately way overfed him when he was in this tank and it was a community tank. And that was my fault. Moving him into this tank here allows me to portion his food out. And of course, this better here is doing great too. Oh yeah, I don't remember if I said this or not, but I did wire change this tank and this tank today too. So both these two tanks have fresh new water. And of course, my black betta seems like this tank just fine. And of course, worthless and useless like their new tank, they got fresh new water. I think what I'll do is I'll actually just stop this video here and just upload it to my channel, because I don't know how long it'll be until I can get this area here completely finished off. So I'm just going to upload this video as is and just update and just make a separate video when I get this stupid thing made. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to add in the fry and how they're doing. They're slowly starting to look like something. They're slowly starting to look like angelfish, which is nice. And of course, Sun and Blake are being good parents. Though I think Blake might be ready to lay eggs again soon. Though a few of them are still runts, which unfortunately I don't think this little one, for instance, will make it. It's still alive, so I'm not going to call it or anything, but I still got everyone in. I still got all my fry, I believe. And of course, I also did a wire change and cleaned the glass on this tank too. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Of course, that tank is more or less back to normal. And my flower horn is more or less doing fine now. I haven't had any problems with him. And I highly doubt Joey from King of DIY or whatever his channel is. I'm pretty sure he won't see this video, but if he does come across it, the tall tank is okay, but for a flower horn for Little Beans or Frank, it just won't do. Even though flower horns can do just fine in small tanks, that tank is that tank type. That's the way you're planning on making that tank is way too small for him. They need swimming space. This is a 20 long, and this guy is like 4.5, maybe 5 inches. So I can keep him in here for probably a good for at least another year or so before I need to start worrying. Yeah, my little flower is doing just fine. I'm happy to see he actually made a full recovery.